Wanted to first of all get your reaction to State of the Union address tonight.
Well, I think overall it was really good. I was obviously a little surprised by the number of guests that he had, that he brought up during the speech. I thought it was a pleasant surprise. There were a lot of heartwarming stories there, and I mean, it was pretty cool. As far as the policy side, I think the president did a really good job of laying out a lot of things that the American people wanted to talk about. There's the issue, I mean, there's a lot of folks that brought guests to the gallery, Dreamers, for example, and he touched on the immigration issue, the 1.8 million that he's willing to work with to get path to citizenship, but he also wants his border security in return. I think that was the president showing that he wanted to work across the aisle and come to a compromise and get some real solutions. The pharmaceutical side of it, pain capable or helping terminally ill people have the right to try medications. I think that was something that was nice to hear as well. I think that that will affect real people. I've had family members of my own that I've seen struggle and suffer, and to have the opportunity to try some new medicines that could potentially save their lives or at least make them more comfortable is something that we should look into. Lowering the price of pharmaceuticals, I think, is a great thing. In California specific, since we've AB 109 and other things have let so many of our inmates out onto the streets, maybe finding some sort of second chance program, allowing them the opportunity to go out and get jobs, I think is something that could be really positive for the economy and obviously for the safety of our families at home. And there was some good stuff in there.
You brought up Dreamers, and what kind of came to mind when I was listening to that was we started talking just a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about 700,000 Dreamers in this country. That figure is now up to 1.8 million. How did that happen?
Well, so if you understand the DACA, Dreamer, and all the different pieces of legislation, it all plays a role in when they came to the U.S. and at what age they were, what age they were before 18, whatever. All those things play a role in how that number is calculated. And the president came to a number of 1.8 million, so he obviously changed the calculation a little bit. He probably changed some dates and moved it, made it a little bit wider. But yeah, the DACA component of it, the one that President Obama pushed, was about 700,000, maybe 800,000. Dreamer bills and a few other pieces of legislation here in the House pushed a little bit higher numbers, but 1.8 million was a much higher number than I had heard in the past.
I know you're tending to lean toward voting toward in favor of such a program. Would you do that without a wall?
Well, we want to make sure that the border security component is, and I know that the wall is kind of the buzzword, but even meeting with Secretary Nielsen, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the White House a little bit about this issue. It's not so much about building a wall C to signing C, but it is about making sure our border is secure in whatever way, shape, or fashion that means. There are going to be parts of the area that they think a wall is the most obvious choice, and there's going to be other areas where it'll be technology and some sort of smart technology that can make sure it's secure. I think all those things play a role. I think there's also a place for changing the way that we treat people who come up to the border, and especially when the cartels are training people on what words to use and how to talk to border agents so that they can be granted asylum or other special treatment and get right on through. And that's an issue that we've got right now, and there's no border or no type of security that'll stop it when they're walking up and using our own laws against us. Those are all things that need to be looked at and part of this compromise.
Another thing the president mentioned tonight was his wanting to build the infrastructure of the United States from where it is today, and he's willing to spend $1.5 trillion to do that. How do you justify that with a $20 trillion debt?
So that's going to be the hard part, and that's one that when he mentioned the 1.5, I kind of smiled and looked to a fellow appropriator. A friend of mine sitting next to me, and I thought, that's a lot of money. We're going to have to do some digging for this. It is a pretty high mark, but obviously we want to do everything we can. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We have a lot of need around the country. Obviously roads, freeways, and especially for the Central Valley, water infrastructure is so important. If there's any opportunity or any place, any rock we can dig under for a little extra money, I think it's well worth it, and it's something we should strive for.
Congressman, what was your reaction of course, it might have been difficult for you to see, but what's your reaction of Democrats tonight when the president starts going through some of these numbers like the unemployment figures, black unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, historically low. He starts talking about how people's 401ks have been pumped up lately, businesses reinvesting in America. What do you think of people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi sitting on their hands?
It was a little frustrating to see, and I did try to watch on the other side on specific topics. I was a little surprised when the 1.8 million on immigration, they didn't stand up and applaud that. They all jumped up when they talked about lowering the cost of pharmaceuticals. So there was a few times they jumped up, but I would say more often than not, I was disappointed to see that they didn't at least applaud the things they agreed with. I sat through 4 State of the Unions with President Obama, and when I agreed with him, I stood up and I clapped. I thought it was the right thing to do because it shows support and it shows unity on issues that we agree on, and it helps build a real path forward on getting things done for the American people. So yeah, I was disappointed. I would hope that they don't continue those actions, that we have the opportunity to really accomplish some things for their constituents and mine.
And it looked like the president was trying to reach across the aisle and take the hand of those on the other side. Do you think he did that, or will we see anything different, you think, in the days going forward?
Well, I think on some of the topics he did a very good job. I mean, I know that they probably weren't thrilled with the Guantanamo Bay stuff, but looking for a real solution when it comes to helping people who have served their time in prison, looking for a solution on immigration, looking for a solution on infrastructure. Those are all things that Democrats typically agree with. When you get into the pharmaceutical industry and the cost of pharmaceuticals and medications for our constituents, that's something that they did applaud, but there are a few things there that I thought they should have really been happy with and really applauded a little bit harder. And yeah, frustrated, but doesn't mean that we've got to sit back and complain. Our focus now needs to be on really trying to build some alliances and try to move forward and get some of these good ideas done.
Congressman Valadao, thank you for spending time with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.